May you find happiness and peace, and may your home stand the test of time.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mary. Today I'll be reacting to another video from Douglas Morris. Today's video is titled Douglas Morris Shut Up Muslim Girl and Dismantle Her Case in a Heated Immigration Debate. So without further ado, let's get started.
There is a saying we have, damned if you do and damned if you don't. I think we've got to be very, very careful that we don't end up lambasting the freest and most generous countries.
You're about to watch Douglas Murray address an accusation thrown against Europe, and by extension, white people, that what they do for Africa boils down to a white saviour complex. Now that's pretty shocking, isn't it? In a debate that happened years ago in Doha, the floor was opened for the audience to ask questions. One of them, a Muslim lady named Asma from Kenya, turned to Douglas and said,
"And do you think it's judicious for these people in Britain, for example, you talked about how Britain is giving aid to these countries in Africa, it's judicious for them to give this much money to these countries but without even listening to their needs. So this only contributes to the white saviour complex that is currently a big issue in..."
Before we get into Douglas's epic response, let me quickly jump in and define what white saviour complex means, seeing that's an epithet that's being thrown around a lot these days. The term refers to white people helping black people only to look like white saviours. The suggestion is that the helper only wants to feel good about his good deeds and does not care about the person whom he is assisting at all. Now, here is how Douglas responded to this sort of accusation. He, straight up, wasn't having any of it.
Well, there is a saying we have, damned if you do and damned if you don't. If it's the case that if we don't give aid, we'd be accused of not giving aid, and if we do give aid, it's a white saviour complex.
But then, Douglas conceded to one thing.
We can all give aid better, for sure, and I just gave, in my opening remarks, what I think was a serious suggestion for one very good use of aid, which is to prioritize it in the region and in the neighboring countries of places people are fleeing from. But I mean, as I say, I would refuse as well to see the multifarious problems that exist in your own home country and sadly across the continent of Africa.
Back to Douglas in a sec. Why was the lady so quick to point fingers at Europe's magnanimity for the myriads of problems plaguing her country, and by extension, the continent of Africa? Are we to be blamed for the current political instabilities, bad governments and tribal wars happening in these places? Before we proceed, kindly hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos on Douglas Murray's provocative debates. Next, another person in the audience claims that the main reason migrants are moving to Europe is because wealth is moving out of the developing world in form of debt repayment to the developed world. Here's how Douglas responded to that.
No, I don't. Again, I repeat the fact there are no simple answers. And if it was simply the fact that you could, I don't know, do a debt default or something and solve the whole migration issue, then that would be great. But it just isn't the case.
Now watch as Douglas hits the nail at the head with these rhetorical questions.
You think that if for instance, all African countries were allowed to default on debt, that they'd become burgeoning, flourishing societies? You think that the problem across, for instance, sub-Saharan Africa isn't just unbelievable greed and theft by politician after politician? You think...
There you have it. But Douglas wasn't quite done.
You think that if you just wrote off the debt, that would stop being an issue and everyone would become transparent and clean in their dealings with money? I mean, the problems are much deeper than this. They're much deeper than just a simple solution like that.
Granted, historically, Europe colonized foreign countries for reasons ranging from persecution in their own countries to the search for riches and economic benefits. But then, it is really easy to simplify and accept biased information instead of being open-minded. It's quite untrue to believe that European countries were the only ones to conquer and colonize others. Every region has done similar atrocities against others, if you go back in time far enough. But that's by the way. Now, one of the debaters sitting across from Douglas, another anti-Europe activist, made a point which drew a resounding applause from the crowd.
We call brown people migrants. We call white people who go abroad to work expats. This is really important, right?
However, Douglas, as if he had prepared ahead of time for her point, gave a response that was both fitting and truthful.
Firstly, by the way, migrants versus expats, there's a very clear reason. It's expected, rightly or wrongly, that expats don't stay in the country and bring up their families and stay for generations. The assumption with migrants is, currently has been in recent generations, that they are going to stay and that it's going to be a multi-generational thing.
Personally, I think calling these people refugees is according them respect that they do not deserve. In reality, most of them are actually callous invaders. Whereas some refugees may intend to leave for home as soon as possible, invaders intend to stay and take over. So the present group of refugees certainly belongs to the latter, and hopes of integration are misplaced since they won't, as we can see in the Turks in Germany and the Maghreb refugees in France. No multicultural society in history ever survived for long, and typically ended up with one group massacring the other, as the most recent example of Hutus and Tutsis in Rwanda showed us. To expect otherwise is sheer arrogance or simply insanity. Next, Douglas turns to everyone on stage, throwing shade at Europeans, and asks a question that leaves the whole audience speechless.
I think we've got to be very, very careful that we don't end up lambasting the freest and most generous countries. And I would just urge, as a call to, as it were, moral caution on this, urge you in this room and people watching, how many people have you made citizens of Qatar from Syria? How many? Okay.
You could have heard a pin drop in the room. Now, the truth of the matter is that Europeans are pacifists. We are, generally speaking, liberals in our thinking. This is why we assume that everyone is as kind, respectful and educated as we are, because we all have our heads in the sand and can't face the reality that we opened our borders to our enemies. I mean, the same people from the East and South we give money to actually hate us and our culture. I mean, let's face it. Islam hates Western liberal culture. They consider the West degenerate and pornographic. But it's too late to stop them from coming since they are already here. Worse still, many of them now have voting rights. That's game over. Now, guys, it's high time we all stood up and demand a change. What are your thoughts on this? Should Europe continue to accept so many refugees? Let us know what you think in the comments section.
Okay. I think I get where this lady doing the commentary is coming from, but she should chill a bit, okay? So I think I understand Douglas. Douglas is trying to clear, the European, letting us know that yes, they don't mean us any harm. They're just trying to help. It's like people are leaving their country, coming to, let's say, the United States, for example, and they are trying to help those countries so that it will prevent immigration. At least when they are developed, people will not want to come to America anymore, or they would come maybe just for holiday and stuff like that. Well, I think that is where Douglas is. I don't know, but I feel like what the First Lady said, that American only give just to look good. To me, I feel is very, very bad. Like, other countries have the opportunity to give, but how many of them are giving us? Because whenever we're in crisis, American donate. They are not like forced to do that, but they donate simply because they know that we are developing and we will need help, especially during this COVID. At least they donate a whole lot of COVID equipment, and when the drugs started coming out, to help cure COVID, they donated too. They were willing to help the world because helping the world means helping themselves. If they don't help, the COVID will keep on coming back to America. And even if they had a large number of people dying every day, because I was watching the statistics and people dying, but still they were still willing to help. It shows that they are there for the good. Not everyone will be good. I'm not expecting 100% of everyone in Europe to be good, but at least they are doing their best, and we need to appreciate them for that, because other people are folding their hand, taking care of their citizens. But Americans are willing to give out, a helping hand to the world. So let's just appreciate, let's not make it look like they are just trying to look good. If they don't give us, we won't do them anything, okay? We can't force them to give, but they are doing it willingly, okay? Just trying to help, and I respect them for that, okay? So he made mention of our politicians, what our politicians are doing, they are siphoning money, instead of them to develop because of greed. They are just trying to get things for themselves. And there is no lie in that. That is what is happening in most African countries, where we get politicians that even if they try to help, they try to do the little they can do, then they take the most they can take before they leave, office. And sometimes I feel it's not fair, because this developed country, we are trying to send most of the money we steal from African too. They've built themselves, you know. They've taken the best out of us. Like when it comes to skilled workers, they won't let you come to their country if you have nothing to offer. So they are taking the best. So if they are taking the best, why then do you keep on stealing from us, then sending it back there to keep on developing them? You take loan from them, you steal the loan, then send it back as your money to help you and your generation become rich, thereby giving the people back home a whole lot of debts to pay back. So that is what Maurice was saying. He said even if they, you know, clear the debts from some countries, that won't make them, you know, rich or anything. It will still make them go back to the way they are, because everything starts from the mind. If you have the mindset that you want to break out from how you are, you will work towards it. Okay, even if when someone keep on spoon feeding you, you won't know the stress that person goes through to provide that food is giving you. So even if the person stops spoon feeding you, you feel like these people hate me, they don't like me, they are doing this to me, this. Nah, the thing is, you have to have that mindset to break out from the state you are. I think some African countries are realizing now that it's high time we stop depending on people to provide for our need. It's high time we work. It's high time we put in the work. It's high time we do the needful thing so that we can be great. You know, everyone wants, you know, immigrants in their country. You know, visit them. You know, invest your money in their country to make their economy grow. But the more we let our middle-aged people, the age grades that are supposed to work, you know, make the country grow, the more we let them migrate out of the country, the more we delay the years of we becoming, you know, developed. Because, you know, those skilled workers are going to a continent or a country where they already have skilled workers, or a country that is already developed, to keep on developing them. Whereas you that is underdeveloped or developing don't even have people that would stay behind and help you grow. The little money you have, you are embezzling it. I feel Maurice is right, okay? He's really, really right. And whatever he says, he's giving the perfect answer. He's letting you know that, yes, we are doing our best. The least we can do is to appreciate them. That is the truth. They are trying. They are not obligated to do anything for us, but they are trying their best. And no country is a saint. They've done their part. You know, when it comes to slave trade, they practiced it back then, and they are no longer doing it. But still, they are still helping out. Okay, so I think they've paid for their errors, or if I should call it that, they've paid for it already. So we should just forget about putting the blame on them and try to work on ourselves. That's just the truth. Anyway, this is a beautiful one. I want to see more videos like this. So if you have any recommendation, let me know in the comment section. If it's your first time visiting the channel, click on the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and remember this.